like to call the Township of North Huntington Board of Commissioners work session meeting for Thursday, January 15th, 2026 at 7 p.m. Roll call, Manager Falk.
Commissioner Hempel.
Here.
Commissioner Atwood.
Here.
Commissioner Gray.
Here.
Commissioner Zona.
Here.
Commissioner McGee.
Here.
Commissioner McHugh.
Here.
President Hagan.
Here. Could everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If any residents would like to speak tonight, could you please sign the book at the podium? Thank you. First resident is Bill Sambo. You come up to the podium, say your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is Bill Sambo. I reside at 13380 St. Clair Drive, North Huntington, PA. I'm currently a member of the Hartford Heights Fire Department and an assistant chief with the Hartford Heights Volunteer Fire Department. I am a lifetime member of Circleville Volunteer Fire Department and a former assistant chief of 22 years. I've been serving the North Huntington Township for over 52 years between police, fire, and EMS. I've noticed some false information written into an agenda for tonight's meeting. The Township Manager, Harry Falk, has informed the Board of Commissioners with false information. Mr. Falk has put into writing, quote, "In October of 2025, Larmer VFD and Hartford Heights VFD merged and requested the tax revenue for both stations continue for 10 years. However, the current ordinance requires that the tax funds be distributed equally among all districts. This information is not true. The Hartford Heights Volunteer Fire Department and Larmer Volunteer Firemen have not merged. In fact, a letter was composed at the direction of our attorney that if, and I say again, if Hartford Heights Fire Department and Larmer Fire Department do merge, then the fire tax dividends need to be clarified with the township. This letter that was presented to the board asking if the dividends received by each company could continue to be received by each company for a period of 10 years was simply a request. The letter was signed by both presidents and fire chiefs of both Hartford Heights and Larmer Fire Department. This letter did not have any notification to these two fire departments being merged or merged at that time. If there would be a merger of these departments, a few things would have to happen. First, each fire department would have to have the members vote with a majority vote to merge. Be advised, this never happened at Hartford Heights Fire Department. In fact, in the November 2025 meeting, Chief Sean Oskin asked all members attending who wanted to merge. The response from all members was no merge. Secondly, the Township Board of Commissioners, who charter each fire department in this township, would need to vote to approve the merger. As far as I know, there have never been an abolishment of the charter of Hartford Heights Fire Department or Larmer Fire Department, and or the board approval of a new fire department being formed and chartered in North Huntington Township. So again, this is a false statement by Manager Harry Falk. Additionally, the situation with Straw Pump Fire Department, referencing their ISO rating, this has nothing to do with the mergers or the dividends of the township fire tax as that situation stands with the ISO readings. The board's move to hold 50% of Straw Pump Fire Department's fire tax until they raise their ISO ratings is a separate issue. And as far as I know, the remaining 50% that was withheld from Straw Pump was never divided up to the remaining 6 fire departments. Manager Falk states that these changes underscore the need for a comprehensive review of the fire service delivery, resource allocation, and long-term sustainability. A feasibility study will, 1, access current coverage, response times, and service gaps. 2, evaluate financial impacts and funding models. 3, recommend strategies for improving ISO ratings and reducing insurance costs, and 4, provide guidance on the merger consolidations and/or equitable tax distributions. Some of the board members will remember several years ago, the township had a PAL study done, which is similar to what Mr. Falk is suggesting. This study yielded nothing. It was a waste of time and a waste of money. There is no need for this effort or the cost to the taxpayers for a feasibility study. This is simple. There is no merger, so if fire tax distribution stays the same, if Straw Pump Fire Department did not raise their ISO ratings within the given time period, then the board needs to take action on closing the charter of Straw Pump Volunteer Fire Department. Distribute their portion of the fire tax amongst the remaining complying 6 fire departments. Divide up their fire district to those fire departments that border Straw Pump Fire District who are willing to take a bigger fire district on and a call volume. I would question Manager Harry Falk's underlying motives to mislead the board with this false information. Let's be clear. There is rumor that Manager Falk has aspirations of being the Township Public Safety Director, being in charge of the police, fire, and EMS. It is floating all around this community as well as other communities that this is his plan. Remember, this township went down this road once before and it didn't go well. I would like to further add.
Excuse me, Mr. Sombo, your time's just about up. If you want to finish up your comments, please, for me.
I'm sorry?
Your time is up. If you want to finish up your comments, please.
I only have like a paragraph.
Yeah, if you want to finish up, go ahead.
Well, is that time going to go to me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I would like to further add my opinion as well as information that I've been told by people from within this township as well as outside the township. For those of you who do not know, I was the chief of police of Elizabeth Borough for several years. I have several contacts still in that area who talk to me, including people in Blaine Hill. You would be surprised of how much information gets back, which leads me to addressing this issue. There have been several incidents in the township where Mr. Falk has shown up on fire scenes here in the township wearing a fire helmet on those scenes. Mr. Falk is a member of Blaine Hill Fire Department in Elizabeth Township. He is not a member of any fire service in North Huntington Township. And as far as I know, there is no agreement by any township fire departments to allow Mr. Falk to assist in their operation. There is also information that he has an 800 megahertz radio with township police, fire, and EMS frequencies. If in fact this is true, he does not have, and he does have a radio, he is not authorized, nor does he have an identifier through Westmoreland County 911 to have or use such radio. Mr. Falk needs to stay in his lane, know what his position is, and what hat he needs to wear, and stay out of the fire department's, the township fire department's business. Thank you.
Thank you. And our next resident is William. If you want to come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record, please.
Sure. William Hardy, 11779 Crockett Street, Larimer, down at the bottom of the hill. I just want to clarify that there is no active merger between Hartford Heights and Larimer. That was only meant to be, this is what we are looking at. So I just want to clarify that there is no merger. It is still 2 separate fire departments. The intent of the letter was to, number one, notify you folks that that is what we are looking to do. We are exploring it. And number two, look for a continuation of the money. Now, whether that's for a certain period of time or not, we didn't want that to hold anything up. But I just wanted to clarify that aspect of it. It appears I may have to go back and go back into discussions with both my department and Hartford Heights, but I just wanted to clarify that part of it. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next resident is David. If you want to come up to the podium and say your name and address for the record, please.
My name is David Henderson. I reside at 9856 Polk Street, North Huntington. The reason I'm here is because of a situation dealing with that residence. There's a piece of road out in front of the residence and it's gone by many names, Shafton Avenue, Polk Street Extension. It seems that because it's a paper road, that the township no longer maintains it. Okay, if that's being said, then it's fallen on the resident to maintain that. Recently, there was a water main break. To the best of my knowledge, and I will look into this further, I'm not sure, maybe under extenuating circumstances, that lines can be run through, main water lines can be run through so-called personal property. Also, if it is the township's position that that road is not, you're not responsible, then does the resident have to assume responsibility for it, also to include the right-of-way that goes with it? That's all I'm asking. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our last resident's Nick. If you want to come up to the podium, say your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Nick. I'm a resident of North Huntington Township. Good evening, Commissioners. Today marks a new year, and for some of you, a newly sworn oath to uphold the United States Constitution and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Others renewed that oath. I hope that this moment represents a recommitment to fiduciary duty, constitutional governance, and the good faith resolution of long-lasting grievances. Before turning to new business, I need to correct the record regarding comments made by Mr. Gray at the prior meeting. Mr. Gray characterizes the assistance he offered to me as meaningful help. While it is true that a conversation occurred between Mr. Gray and myself, the only advice provided was to seek legal counsel. My position remains that there must exist a lawful and reasonable path for resolving constitutional grievances between a citizen and their local government before forcing that citizen into federal litigation. I also reject the assertion that my claims are unfounded or baseless based on the idea that attorneys would otherwise be lining up. That assertion misunderstands the realities of the modern judicial system, where delay, institutional resistance, and procedural barriers often prevent timely remedies. The absence of immediate legal representation does not negate the existence of a constitutional injury. I want to address the recently installed buzzer system and the changes in the access protocol at the police department. There was signage placed on the exterior door of the building stating no audio or video recording past this point. However, that signage did not revoke the implied license granted to the public upon entry. Once inside the building, the layout made the distinction unmistakably clear. The public lobby contained informational pamphlets, a drug take-back box, and a public service window. A second interior door, marked with identical signage, and also secured by keypad and a physical lock, clearly separated the public lobby from the operational side of the police department. What occurred instead was the deliberate creation of a buffer space after the exterior sign, but before the secured interior door, where the area was treated as restricted without being lawfully designated as such and without any public process. At the time of my arrest on the 27th of July, and at the time of the unlawful seizure of Mr. Jackson through a demand for identification, the lobby was operating as a public space. Signage regulating recording does not revoke an implied license to enter, stand, observe, or engage in constitutionally protected activity. Any attempt to retroactively redefine that public space to justify prior enforcement actions raises serious First and Fourth Amendment concerns. When a police department lobby is open to the public, it constitutes at minimum a limited public forum. Restrictions must be viewpoint neutral and reasonable. Additionally, demanding identification from an individual lawfully present in a public space absent reasonable articulable suspicion violates established Fourth Amendment standards. Pennsylvania's Constitution, specifically Article 1, Sections 7 and 8, provides protections equal to or greater than those found in the federal Constitution. What is most concerning is that the decision to alter public access through the installation of a buzzer and locking mechanism does not appear to have been presented to this board, discussed publicly, or adopted through any transparent process. If the police department believed the change in public access was necessary, the request should have come before this board and the public, supported by a lawful rationale. I am here to seek acknowledgement, transparency, and resolution through open dialogue. So what I have here are the legal footnotes that support everything I just told you. Florida v. Jardis, 213, that's what's going to talk about this, you guys creating the implied license. When you put the informational pamphlets on the wall, the drug take back, so the charge you're charging me with starts off with, I knowingly without a license. That's how I'm going to beat your cases in court, okay? You guys you created the license. You can't revoke that from me because you don't like what I'm doing. Then you'll go down to Perry Education. Real quick, Zach.
Yeah, if you just want to wrap it up. Thank
I'm
you.
wrapping it up. I just want to make sure everyone understands. So this is what's going to talk about what a public forum is. Terry v. Ohio would be, Ron, you're a lifelong police officer. You can explain it to him. There's some other ones here. I also have a right to know request, which I will be submitting right now on the record. I don't have to use your form, so this will suffice. And then in case you guys decide not to respond to what I just said tonight, which is you guys making the lobby restricted without any public discussion, I'm just going to give you the follow-up email now. So here's copies of everything. You're the senior member, Rich. You have all the experience.
All right, thanks. Is there any other residents that would like to speak tonight that didn't get a chance to sign the book at the podium? Not seeing any responses to this input. I believe our first two residents, Bill and William, spoke about the possible merger of two of the fire departments. I believe that's on the agenda for tonight, if we want to address that at that time.
Can I just say one thing about that?
Yeah.
On this letter that was referenced, I do have a copy in front of me here. The first sentence does state that Larimer Volunteer Fire Department and the Hartford Heights Volunteer Fire Department are moving forward on merging our departments into one. So that was the language that was presented to us. That's what we had to go with.
All right. And then, yeah, Manager Falk, you had something?
Sure, I'd like to just clarify some accusations. I do not belong to Blaine Hill Volunteer Fire Department. I was a member there in the past, but I have not been a member there probably about 5 or 8 years or so. Last time I responded to a fire call was probably in the spring, early spring, on working structure fire last year while I was there. The pump operator at the Circleville engine was manning the lines, trying to pump the pump, and had to get water supplied to the fire engine. And I asked him if he needed some help hitting the hydrant, so I hit the hydrant for him and supplied water to the fire engine for the firefighters. I'd have no aspirations of becoming a public service director or public safety director. If I would have done that, I would have done that 10 years ago before I got into this line of work, when I was more knowledgeable of the public safety realm versus now, because I've been out of that for so many years. I'm not a fire chaser, so I do my work at the township, but I also have a responsibility to have a pulse of the things on the township. So whenever there is a working structure fire, if I am available, I may go or I may not go. It depends on what it is. But I just wanted to clarify some information. And I do not have a radio, by the way. I do not have a portable radio. I do know how they work and how they identify and everything, but I do not have a radio and I do not have a scanner. Thank you.
Thank you, Manager Falk. Our next resident, it was David, talk about the paper alley on Polk Street. Assistant Manager Fonzie, can we look into that to see if that's a paper alley that?
Yeah, I just need clarification on the location again. Do you say that, is this off of Wilson Street?
No, sir, this is, at one point it was called Shafton Avenue many years ago. Now it is considered or part of Polk Street Extension.
Polk, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we'll look into that.
Yeah, we'll get back with you. We'll do some research to see who actually owns it and then try to work with you to rectify whatever issue we can.
I appreciate the opportunity.
All right, thank you, sir. And then our last resident was Nick. Asked some questions about the new buzzer system down at the police station. Anyone have any response for that? All right. Moving on to work session discussion topics. Manager Falk.
Sure, item number one, I have a letter here dated from October 30th from Chief Hardy, talking about the merger moving forward and their request for both stations to receive the allotment for 10 years of the taxes. Looking at the ordinance does state that the revenues available for specific purposes of maintaining the fire district or fire protection district. So if there's any changes to how the board wants to distribute those funds, the ordinance would have to be amended to reflect that.
I think at this point, from hearing what everybody said here, that's a moot point, I guess, right? Nothing needs addressed tonight on this because you guys are not merging, you're still in discussions, correct?
Moving on to item number two, a fire department feasibility study. With the talk of the merger between Hartford Heights and Larimer and the current situation with the ISO rating at Straw Pump, we are a stakeholder to those fire departments because we provide tax money with them. There is a free service out there through the governor's office for a feasibility study. My recommendation at this time, if the board wants to go through with it, is to look and see at this free service, to come in and just do a feasibility study to give a recommendation or a book for the fire departments, for the board of commissioners. So whatever they're talking about these mergers or making these changes, it's not based on emotion. It's not based on politics. It's based on data from a third party the feasibility study can go sit on the shelf, and whenever a fire department say, hey, we want to merge with this other fire department, they can have some resources and some data to make the best choices for their decisions. So that is why, I brought this forward to the board.
Is this, the study you said was no cost to the township?
Yes, I strongly believe it is a no cost. It's a service through the Commonwealth, Pennsylvania, the DCED program. So we would just have us submit an application, but one of it is just if the board does ever move forward with this, the first thing is create a steering committee. So, that I don't think that's part of the application process, but that is recommended to start with once the application is started.
So I'm the one that asked Manager Falk to put this on the agenda, and I actually envisioned it to be a little bit different. I want the stakeholders to be in place that are the volunteer firemen and some more township staff. So I envisioned it to actually have us work on it. We know the township best, the firemen know the township the best. So I envisioned it something as 2 representatives from each fire department being on a board with probably a few of the commissioners and maybe Assistant Manager Fonzie or yourself. And then that board or group comes and makes a recommendation to this board, things moving forward in the future. Is that with a fire district that we start looking at first? And then down the future, do we look at standard operating procedures for each fire department, qualifications for employees or people to be on the trucks to respond to calls? So I think I envisioned it to be a living and continuous improving group between all the fire departments and the township that we work back and forth with each other. That's what I wanted to see. I'm not against having someone else come in from the outside. I know years before, Rich might have been on the board when they had that study years and years ago. There might have been before your time even with the fire department study. I've actually never even seen it, but the people in the township know the township the best, and if we have volunteers willing to serve on that board, I think that's the best avenue to go.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. And again, feasibility study is good, but again, I agree with what you said. We should have the people that are the stakeholders that this affects. And I think we can put a committee together and we can prioritize some of the needs and we have them tackle the top priority things going and just keep the committee going and keep it going probably forever. as long as we have the fire departments in the township, we just keep that committee going and keep looking into any issues that arise. I mean, I think there's some important issues that need addressed right away, and I think that would be my suggestion too, is to go with a committee.
Yeah, I'm in also, only for the sake that I know a lot of the firemen in this township, and, you know, there again, they are the stakeholders, they understand what fire services we have. And there again, we're all good human beings, and, you know, if we don't talk about it, what we say is what we don't know, what we don't know. So, you know, I definitely agree with having the fire departments represented with a committee and talk about it.
Is this something you're thinking will help us keep a better pulse on ISO ratings?
Yeah, I think with that committee, they will set a standard that each fire department, I would envision, has to meet every year. And if they don't meet that, then there would be repercussions. Obviously, we don't want to say if you don't meet it 1 year, then in my opinion, and I'm just speaking for myself, you're done. I think you would have a chance to, you know, right the path. And if, after that year you didn't, which we might be dealing with one fire department, unfortunately, then we have to make choices as that committee would give us a recommendation that we would have to move forward with. And then I think looking at some of those big items with the fire district, and and I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if 1 or 2 departments want to merge, we'd have to look at the fire district as a whole to see, does a fire district make sense how it's currently drawn? And then you take some of those big hit items first, and then, like I said, we start looking at standard operating procedures to make us all better as the fire service. So we all are uniform in how we respond to calls and act on a call.
Yeah, I think from talking to some of the firemen that I spoke with, these fire districts haven't been changed in like 30 years. You guys know better than me, but maybe longer than that. And if you look back 30 years ago at this township, how different it was and all the new housing plans, and granted, a lot of them are condensed in certain areas, and certain areas didn't get really built up. So I think that would be one of the priorities, I would think, is looking at that also and trying to maybe change those fire districts. But I think we come up with, if we're going to go through with this, we lay out some items, prioritize them for them to look at.
Do we already have a meeting with the chiefs that happened on a regular basis? Is this something that we can go to them with and get some feedback from that committee or that council, whatever they go by?
What, excuse me, Commissioner Atwood, on that topic, I have always been of the opinion that any change needs to come from the firemen themselves. We do have and I used to be president of the Township Association of Firemen. So I know they meet at least once a month or during certain months, and then the chiefs meet also. And I've always felt that any impetus to make any change in fire service should come from them. And I'm opposed to appointing a committee at this point unless they come to us to look into it. So.
We have some of the fire departments here. I mean, if you guys are interested in moving down this path, I mean, you guys want to maybe speak.
Bill Heinz, President of Circle Fire Department. I'm speaking on behalf of myself and my fire department, and things changed over the period of years and years. I've been in the volunteer fire service since I've been 14 years old, since 1982, in the same fire department in this township. So I've seen a lot of things change, and change happens, and some can be for the good and some can be for the bad. But from my standpoint, I would highly recommend putting a committee together, with 3 of the commissioners, either Harry or Ryan, also on it, so we can get a full picture and a full scope and a full circle. And what I would like to see and recommend to each department that would have 2 members on the committee, I would like to have one from the line officer side, so we're getting the firefighting aspect of it on that end of it, and then on the administrative side to get the business side of it too, because it all has to form one big circle. And ultimately, you're responsible for signing off on fire reports. It's been over 30 years since we've had redistricting done within the fire service. Our community has changed and has grown, you know, and we're a very large bedroom community. You know, duplication of services sometimes, and, you know, sometimes money can be more wisely spent, you know, if we're all on the same page and, you know, being more diversified across the community. So my recommendation would be to move forward with the committee, have 2 representatives from each fire department. That way, you know, if there's any, you know, disagreements or so forth like that, it's not one over the other, it's a majority vote across the board. And then it also, ultimately, you're responsible for providing emergency services to the township. I do believe that your input is very much welcome as well. We need to be working together across it to, you know, build better, build stronger. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill.
Absolutely.
With some of the other volunteer firemen, you guys are all in favor of moving forward with that committee type idea and working with you guys and coming up with a recommendation to come back to the board with?
Hartford Heights is.
I'll work on drafting something.
All right, yeah, so I think what we would say is 2 people from each fire department on the board with maybe 3 commissioners and either yourself or Assistant Manager Fonzie, or maybe both on the committee.
Is
And
that a
then,
majority from our volunteer fire departments that want it, or is that?
What's that?
I mean, I believe the majority that are here, that are interested in moving forward,
If it
we could
was-
reach out to the ones that maybe aren't present tonight.
Yeah, I would say
Yeah.
we would probably want to make sure we have a majority vote from
Yeah.
them, wouldn't we?
Yeah, we can draft something and Manager Fall can reach out to
Could-
the line officers or the chiefs of the departments that maybe aren't here.
Could it be,
There's only one department that is present tonight, that's staff.
Okay, yeah,
So you got the majority sitting right here.
yeah.
And we're not approving this tonight, he's just
No.
coming up with a draft that
Yeah.
we're gonna discuss anyway.
Yeah, I'll have a draft either by February or March for the board to start working on.
All right, thank you, Manager Fall.
And I just think, Commissioner Gray, I do agree with you that the firemen should be making that decision. I think that's what this committee does. If they're gonna have, like we said, maybe 2 representatives from each department on there, I think they have a big input in it with just a couple, 3 or 4 township officials. I think that is the way to go, to let your voice be heard and to follow. You guys know it best, we don't. I don't, some of the firemen up here do too, but I don't, so.
We don't need
That-
somebody from outside.
Yeah,
Harrisburg.
I agree. No, I totally agree with you, Bill.
Doesn't know what's going on
Yep.
within each one of the fire departments, and then collectively what we do, whether it be with EMS, the police, or the fire. That doesn't work. It
Yep.
never did. It didn't run a PAL study back in,
That was decades ago.
Yeah.
You got put the drawer and never acted on, so I appreciate it. We appreciate it. very
Yep,
much.
thanks, guys.
Thanks.
And thank you for
Now-
coming up tonight.
that was my point, the request needed to come from them.
Oh, gotcha, yeah.
All right, thank you, Manager Falk. I believe you have some direction on that.
I do, thank you. Item number 3, the Norwin Chamber of Commerce membership. North Huntington Township used to belong to the Norwin Chamber up until COVID. We still belong to the Westmoreland County Chamber of Commerce. The fee to join is $690 annually. This can be done administratively, but is the board interested in joining the Norwin Chamber?
I am.
I am also.
I thought it was a mistake when they got up, but I wasn't on the board at the time.
Okay, we will join.
If I just may, I'd just like to give a reason why I'm definitely for it. Every year, we hold the Norwin Community Picnic, and of course, it hasn't been to Idlewild in years, but it's been at the Irwin Park. I would like to see we have a voice in the Norwin Chamber that maybe every other year, we can move it to the Public Works facility.
I like that.
So now we would have that voice. So that's a reason for us joining.
All right, thank you. Moving on to item number 4, RFP for auditing services. North Huntington Township currently engages Turnley Robinson Associates for the annual audit. The municipal annual audit and financial report is due to the DCED by April 1st, following the fiscal year end. North Huntington Township has missed that deadline for the past 3 years. The prior year audit has been generally presented to management and the board at the last quarter of the calendar year. So due to repeated missed deadlines and possible grant funding being at risk at times, we are looking to, or asking for the board to put out an RFP for auditing services. So there'll be an action item next week for an advertisement of the RFP services.
Just a question on.
Sure.
So I know it says 4/1, is, looking at the deadlines that are set on here, is this the schedule, is this enough time to have somebody for the 2025 audit? Because it would be selection award March 18th. It
No,
needs to do-
typically these should be done in the fall of the
Okay.
previous year. But we have not had any penalties, knock on wood, or fines, because the audit has not been submitted to the DCED until the end of the year, way past the deadline. So we're comfortable
Okay.
with
okay.
this.
And then I was gonna also ask, in the scope of services, should there be anything in here for, or maybe we're in the agreement, for penalties for missing it? Since, was there any penalties given to the auditors that has missed it for the last 3 years?
No, because we have not incurred any penalties.
Okay, so it's only.
So if we did incur penalties, I would come to the board, asking the board to
Okay.
seek those, get reimbursed for those penalties by the auditor.
Okay,
But
thanks
we
for
have not.
clarifying.
Thank you. Moving forward, item number 5, RFP for professional legal services. North Huntington Township currently engages with Bruce Dyson Associates. The solicitor is appointed by the Board of Commissioners. We currently pay a retainer of $62.50 a month, plus any supplemental fees. The board, if the board is interested in putting an RFP out for legal services, that'll be on the agenda item for next week. Are there any questions about the RFP?
I don't have any complaints about Dyson Associates, but I think this is a prudent move to have these RFPs, making sure have the best interest of the township for both of those services.
All right, thank you. Moving on to the solar ordinance draft, I'll turn it over to Assistant Manager Fonzie.
Yes, the last time we spoke, Commissioner McHugh had some items he would like entered into the draft, so the changes are all in yellow. So I did my best to kind of wedge those in and make sure it doesn't conflict with what we already had. Just some other language as far as not being placed within a legal easement. And we do that anyway as part of the building permit process. I was trying to align this with our building permit process and how we do land developments so that it makes sense. And that's why I made a comment about, having that decommissioning fee estimate separate from the performance bond, which would be required by the developer's agreement anyway. So that would be a separate fund for the decommissioning. And then I didn't want to put hard numbers in there or percentages. I just wanted to give us the flexibility that could be adjusted over time as inflation or the market changes, so that we can stay on top of that and make sure enough funds are there to do that in case we had to. And then Commissioner McHugh also brought up about the rapid disconnect. I was doing a little bit of research on that, so that's put in there as number 11 in section D. So that pretty much wrapped up all the changes that were requested as far as last meeting. So does anybody have any other questions or additions, deletions?
No, thank you for working that in there.
Sure.
Do we want to include something in the utility scale energy systems to include regulations on BESS systems, battery energy storage?
Like the one at Ridinger Park?
Right.
I mean,
Shouldn't we make it part of this?
I mean, that would make more sense than putting the wind energy as part of this. They're somewhat related because they are holding the energy and selling back to the grid. So I could look at other ordinances around and try to work that in for the best systems.
I'm in favor of that.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it, so.
That's good.
All right, so maybe we could add the battery bank back up to the solar, and then we can come back and take a look to that. Sure. All right, thank you, Assistant Manager Fonzie.
All right, moving on to item number 7, tax office lease. You have a copy of the draft office lease agreement with the new tax collector to occupy space here in the townhome at $3.65 per square foot. There is 276 square feet with the new office space for an annual revenue of $1,007.40. That is the same tax lease per square foot that we offered the previous tax collector. Are there any questions about the lease? All right, you'll have that on the agenda for next week. Thank you. Item number 8, a purchase of a backhoe for Public Works, and I'll turn it over to Director Hoklinski.
Good evening. So we explored numerous avenues for replacing our 2011 John Deere backhoe, which had 7,000 hours on it, which for those of you that are not familiar with such things, that's an extreme amount of hours. Excuse me. We've explored several avenues. We did some demos with different companies, Caterpillar, a different John Deere machine. And after several months of using different things, we've arrived at that this is our best option to purchase. It'll be a brand new 2026 John Deere 410, which is a bigger machine than we have now, capable of doing more things, lifting heavier, longer reach. But it'll be brand new. It's a very fair price on CoStars, and they've done very well for us with the trade-in of our John Deere with 7,000 hours. Both our operators dealt with their salespeople, our mechanics dealt with their mechanics, and did a lot of homework to make sure that this is the right machine for us. So, and it is a John Deere replacing a John Deere because that's what our operators are familiar with. So they've been very reliable for us in the past. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer.
Did we look at other manufacturers' machines like Cat?
Yes, Rich, we actually used the Caterpillar backhoe down on Pine Hollow Road on the big project we did down there. And it was okay, but Caterpillars are far more expensive. I mean, I don't have exact numbers in front of me on that machine because we didn't pursue purchasing it. But they're more expensive, they're very complicated, complex, and our operators just did not like the machine.
Okay.
And to your point, Rich, we also, coming forward in the budget, we had asked about an excavator. We have demoed other excavators besides John Deere. We're probably going to look into Case. That seemed to be what our operators were most pleased with.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Okay, seeing none, I'll add that to the agenda next week's meeting. And that is all I have.
All right, thank you. Community development topics, I don't believe there is any tonight. Any further board comments?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Meeting adjourned at 7:43. Executive session to follow to talk about legal matters.